Good morning, everybody. How you doing? So I'm sorry I missed yesterday. What happened? Well, stuff comes up, and it's kind of the perfect time to talk about the inevitable problems that come up in our life. And, we spent most of this year talking about how to manage our state. And you've heard me say more times than I can remember. You manage your state, you got everything. You don't manage your state, you don't have anything. And that's the fundamental basis of all self-development stuff is figuring out how to manage your state. Well, it's easy to manage your state when things are going great. It's a lot tougher to manage your state when things aren't going great and you're in the middle of tough times. Do you like surprises? Well, yeah, we all like surprises. We like surprises that we like. The surprises that we don't like, we call them problems. So what happens when the inevitable problems pop up? Well, first of all, do you remember those morning questions that we did? Who do I love and who loves me and how does that make me feel? What's great about my life? What could be great if I wanted it to be? What am I proud of? What could I be proud of if I wanted to be? What am I grateful for? All that stuff. Yes, my cat is hanging out behind me. Do you remember all that? Well, that is also a way to approach problems. Ask yourself better questions. When a problem comes up, we have a tendency to ask ourselves something like, why does this always happen to me? How come this always happens to me? How come I never get it? I never have things work out. How come it never goes the way that I want it to? How come everybody else's life goes this way and this way and this way and mine does not? We usually ask ourselves things like that. Well, those questions do not help us. Remember, questions are how we think. When we decide that we're going to think about something, we do so by asking questions, and the questions that we ask direct our focus. Remember, where focus goes, energy flows. So if our focus goes to what's wrong, then that's what we're going to find. So we want to change our focus to what is right or what could be right. Well, we do that by asking questions. What's great about this when you have a problem? What's great about this? Well, initially your brain's probably going to say nothing. Okay, well, what could be great about this if I wanted it to be? What's funny about this? A lot of times we say, we'll laugh about this someday. Okay, well, why wait? Why wait till someday to laugh about it? Laugh about it now. What could be funny about this if I wanted it to be? What am I going to learn from this? At the end of the day, problems are a gift. They're there to teach us something. They're there to make us expand and become more of who we were supposed to be. There's a belief that you're never giving a problem without the corresponding ability to manage that problem. People are given the difficulties that they can handle. The universe has a wisdom about it in that fashion so that you can become who you are supposed to be, the most of who you are supposed to be. Most of the great things that we experience now came out of trying to solve a difficult problem. Whether it's this cell phone or whether it's the light bulb or whether it's a motor vehicle, most of that came out of somebody trying to solve a problem. And if you think about the greatest parts of you, the parts that you're most proud of, typically those parts developed because you had to get over, conquer, get past, solve some giant problem. Remember the old metaphor that I talked about where if you draw a circle and you're a dot, the circle is your sphere of influence. It's the area that you can comfortably deal with. And everybody's sphere is different. Some people, I can comfortably deal with doing a fire walk. Well, not too many people can do that because that's something that I've done. So I have a certain confidence level in that area. Okay. Doesn't mean I'm better or worse. It just means I have that experience. Some people have more experience public speaking, so it's not as big a deal to them. For a lot of people, it's a huge deal. It's terrifying. So your sphere of influence. Well, what happens is a problem comes along and it's outside of your sphere. And what do we normally do? Well, we ignore it. We act like it's not there. And then another one and then another one until eventually you break through and you push past that sphere of influence and you solve that problem. But the thing is, when you do that, you don't just grow in that direction, you grow in all directions. So when you're hit with something, which we always are, it can be little or big. It can be, devastating information like I see every week about somebody losing somebody in some sort of wreck. It can be devastating information about health, or it can be, your car needs new tires and it's going to cost you $1,000, or the air conditioning unit is out and it's going to cost you $1,500. It can be something like that. Those problems are there in order to make you expand. And so when you ask yourself a question like, what's great about this? Or what could be great about this if I wanted it to be? What's funny about this that I'm not looking at? How am I going to grow in order to solve this problem? How is this going to benefit me? And if your brain says it's not, then say, how could it benefit me? What about this is going to make me stronger down the road? What about this, or what else am I going to be able to manage now because I'm going to figure out how to manage this problem? When I get the chance to sit around and talk to people who've been super successful financially, it's so interesting to talk to them, because if they get in a position where they feel comfortable and they'll just talk, they'll always go back, and then they will talk about how dark room and trying to figure out exactly how to make this business work, and it wouldn't work. If you watch Jeff Bezos, he loves telling the stories of when he was sitting at that desk with Amazon printed from a dot matrix printer, Amazon.com, and it's just him sitting there trying to figure out how to run this business. It's always darkest before the dawn. And why do they look back at those places and they look at them with the most fondness? Because that's where they grew the most. That's what they're most proud of, is that they were once there and now they're here. And they won't talk about where they took the business from, whatever, 20 million to 40 million to 200 million to 30 billion. They won't talk about that. They'll talk about when they took the business from looking like it was never going to work to actually working. That's the part that they'll talk about, because that's where they grew the most. Once they did that, then the rest just kind of kept happening. And yeah, they ran into more problems along the way, of course. But that first one is what gave them that initial momentum. That's the one that's the hardest. So when a problem shows up, and it's a gift. Remember, the people with no problems are in cemeteries. That's it. Jim Rohn said that. He was right. The only people without problems are the ones sitting in cemeteries. And the people with the most security in their life are in prison. They don't have to worry about electric bills. They don't have to worry about food. They got 3 hots and a cot no matter what. But they also have no freedom whatsoever. With freedom comes uncertainty, and it's also going to create problems. The problems that you're going to have to solve in order to create the outcomes that you want in your life. So ask yourself better questions. What's great about this? What could be great about this if I wanted it to be? How am I going to grow and it's going to help me in other areas other than just this area? What am I excited about? What am I grateful for in my life? And how does that make me feel? Who am I grateful for and how does that make me feel? And always remember that whatever problems you face, that's somebody else's gift. There's always somebody else that's facing a much, much greater challenge than whatever you're facing, and they've figured out how to overcome it. If you're really feeling like there's no way out, go read books about the Holocaust. Go read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and you'll see that whatever you have going on, they had it much, much worse and somehow figured how to get out of that situation and survive and thrive, and you can figure it out too. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. My Uncle Bill, Mr. Drehobel down in Florida, Valerie, my regulars, great to see you guys. Mr. Fox, great to see you, sir. Can't wait to see you around the house. Mr. Williams, thank you so much for being on. Mary Kaufman, I ran into Megan this morning walking, and we were asking about you, wondering how you're doing. I hope life is grand. My cousin Chrissy out in Boston. Brian, I'm going to read this when I'm done. Kathy Benning, good to see you this morning. Are you in Illinois? Are you in California? Are you in Wisconsin? Where are you? Good to see you guys. Love you all. Thank you so much for watching. It's truly my honor that you guys pop on. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.